I was stalked by a guest in my student accommodation. I'm 19 years old and living far from home in a studio room. I'm often up late, and last week I went to do some laundry at around 11 p.m.-ish. On my way to the laundry room, I see a man sitting in the lobby of my apartment complex, who I've seen around sometimes at night, but never thought much of it. Later, as I'm in the laundry room putting my clothes in the dryer, I hear the laundry room door ring, which means someone was coming in. It was the man, standing there, but with no clothes to wash, just staring at me. I maneuvered around him and headed to the lifts, but he followed me quickly, cornered me, and asked for my Snapchat. I was tired and just wanted to get back to my room, so I stupidly gave it to him. I figured he'd message and try to flirt, so I'd respond with, "I have a boyfriend. Sorry if you thought this was anything else," and that would be the end of it. He started messaging me almost immediately, which started out relatively normal, mind you, but then he starts saying weird stuff like, "I saw you a month ago, and I was impressed. I've been visiting a friend and staying here, and I've been watching you. I noticed that you come out mostly at night." He then mentioned to me that he was only visiting for 5 more days. The messages escalated quickly, and he started saying things like, "I love you and I can't help it," to which I reply by saying I have a boyfriend and am 100% not interested. He replies with, "I only want you," and asks if he can come to my room to get a hug, to which I obviously replied no. The messages get even more aggressive and creepy, as he asks me if I live alone and if I was a virgin. He also doesn't stop continuing to say he loves me, that I was perfect for him, and that I impress him. At that point, I recorded all the messages on Snapchat, spoke to him a little bit more to gather evidence so I could take it to reception in the morning. Apparently, he's been watching me for a month. A little bit later, I got my guy friend who lives on the second floor to walk down to the laundry room with me so I could retrieve my clothes from the dryer. We sat in the student lounge area as there were still a few minutes left for my laundry to finish. While waiting there, I was shaking with adrenaline and fear. We eventually saw the man around the laundry room again, looking for me, but luckily, I'd already retrieved my clothes and was on my way back up to my room. As we took the lifts back up, my friend offered to let me stay in his room, but I say I would be okay and simply just lock the door. Then, 1 a.m. hits, and I hear someone outside my room trying to get in. I texted my friend and asked if it was him outside. He replied no, and I froze, knowing exactly who was outside my door. I didn't want to make a sound. I felt helpless and sick to my stomach. The man was trying to shimmy the door handle, tried messing with the locks, and even had the nerve to knock on the door. After what seemed like an eternity, but was really only a few minutes, he gave up and left. In the morning, I reported this to reception, and then went to stay a few days with my boyfriend at his place. Unfortunately, he just left on a trip to London to visit a friend. Last night was the first time I'd spent a night in my room since this happened. I'm very paranoid now, and I'm disappointed to say that I should probably be used to this. Unfortunately, it's not the first time I've been sexually harassed. A guy at a club once tried to kiss me, grab my head, feel me up, and a bunch of other things that I won't go into here. In any case, I'm terrified to go outside my room after dark, and my paranoia is constantly making me look over my shoulder when I'm away from home. Not sure if my story belongs here, but I've always been creeped out by it. I, a female, was 25 at the time. This was 2018, and I lived with my boyfriend in our hometown. It's a small city that's relatively poor and has some drug problems since there's not much to do. My boyfriend, now husband, was at his friend's house. It was a Saturday night, and he said he'd be home around 9. He was about 2 towns over, about a 20-minute drive. At the time, we lived in a duplex, split upstairs and downstairs. My cousin rented the downstairs apartment, and she was known to be loud. I knew when she was and wasn't home. That night, she wasn't home. The way our street was situated as follows. The backs of the houses on my street and the parallel street all faced a narrow alley. The driveways were mostly only accessible this way. The downstairs unit had a front porch with a door and a side door. Our upstairs unit had the back door, and it was at the top of an outside set of wooden stairs. So anyway, I'm home watching TV alone. I hear someone coming up the stairs and knock on the door. It's about 8:30 p.m. It wouldn't be that unusual for my boyfriend to come home early. Maybe they got bored playing video games, or he just felt like leaving. I usually would unlock the door for him instead of him using his keys, because it was dark and could be a hassle. So, I got up and opened the door to someone who was not my boyfriend. It was a pretty thin man, wearing 2 big jeans and a hoodie. He had about 4 teeth and was teetering back and forth. I was so shocked considering I was positive it was my boyfriend coming home. The guy at the door asks me, "Can I use your phone?" Behind him, down the stairs and in the alley, I see a big SUV, Ford Explorer type of vehicle just idling, with someone in the driver's seat. I panic and just say, "Yeah, hold on." I then shut and lock the door. I think I was more shocked that it was a stranger at my door and not my boyfriend than anything else. I hid so he couldn't see me through the front door window. I stayed as still as a statue. Something was just telling me this was not okay. After a few minutes, I hear him start walking down the stairs. I go over to the door and see the car drive away down the alley. I called my boyfriend and told him what happened. He said he'll leave, but as mentioned earlier, it was a 20-minute drive from his friend's house. After he got home, I calmed down and honestly felt silly. Why not just lend him my phone? Was it really that weird? But then I thought about it more over the next few days. I mean, it was 2018. This guy and whoever was driving, between the two of them, neither one had a phone. And it wasn't like they were having car trouble. What would they want a stranger's phone for? They also went down an alley and to the backside of a house, up some stairs, to ask for a phone. They didn't go to my cousin's front door downstairs. I would have heard someone on the porch. They didn't go to any other house. I saw them leave the street entirely. Also, why go to a house to ask for a phone when there was no car in the driveway? And of course, our battery-powered security camera was totally dead at the time. I'm genuinely unsure what they wanted. If anyone has any idea or thinks I'm overthinking it, let me know. But, creepy guy at my door, let's not meet again. This happened a month ago in Shinjuku, Tokyo, Japan. I'm a 28-year-old white American woman from Alaska. I am slightly above average height for a woman my age, and I am by no means tiny, though I'm not particularly fat or buff either. The point of mentioning that is that I wouldn't be an easy target to just scoop up and kidnap. I also have a lot of distinctive identifying features. My waist-length hair is currently half blonde, half dark brown, and I have visible tattoos all over my upper body, including on both my arms. Last month, I was in Japan for 2.5 weeks with my fiancé and some family, and several of our mutual friends. The whole group is about 12 people. I speak Japanese fluently, and I am a well-traveled person and consider myself to be pretty street smart / able to take care of myself. So while I did not wander off alone much on this trip, I wasn't concerned if I did have to go somewhere by myself. It was Friday night during Golden Week in Tokyo, the day before we were leaving to come back to the States, and our group was going to go out drinking on our last night. The area we were staying in wasn't the nicest, but it wasn't particularly bad either, just more dirty than other areas in Tokyo and with a lot more tourists, and more homeless people as well. Each night when we would go out, the men in our group would be openly propositioned by prostitutes, and there were often people just passed out on the street, things like that. So on the last night, we were all going to meet up in front of our hotel, a large, nice hotel in the main city center, to go out, and I happened to be the first person there. Now, while nobody from my group was there, I was by no means alone. There were hundreds of people around as this was a very populated area, and I was standing on the sidewalk in front of the hotel. A man suddenly approached me, and the first thing that put my guard up was how close he got to me. Again, this was a crowded area, but by no means crowded or noisy enough that he needed to be 5 inches away from my face, which he was. He was black, and looked to be around my age, probably between 25 and 35. He immediately started asking me questions, and I got more suspicious and on edge with each one. This is how the conversation went. "Hello, where are you from?" he asks. "I'm from Alaska," I replied. "Oh, American," he said, visibly excited and with a crazed look in his eyes. "Yes, where are you from?" "Ghana. Are you here alone?" "No, I'm with about 15 people, including my husband and my dad. They're in that shop right there." My first lie. I was only with 12 people, including my fiancé. My dad was not there, and none of the group was in the nearby shop. "What hotel are you staying at?" the stranger asks. "I don't know the name of it. It's across the city." Also a lie, as we were standing in front of the hotel I was staying at. "How old are you?" 35. Also a lie. I was trying to say I was as old as possible while having it still be believable. "Right. Come with me," he says. "Yeah, no thanks." At this point, I began to turn to walk away. "Yes, come with me. We'll take something." "Nope. Bye." I then began hurriedly walking towards one of the nearby shops. The stranger mutters, "Take something. Wake up in paradise." Luckily, he did not follow me, and I waited for my group inside the store that I went into to get away from him. I immediately messaged our group, and my fiancé and another of the men came down immediately. This incident was particularly scary because a couple of the people on the trip with us don't have a radar for this kind of thing, and it makes me feel ill to think what might have happened if they had been the one being propositioned instead of me. Also, I know I should have stopped talking to the guy sooner. I was just kind of frozen, and at the beginning I thought he might just be a regular guy trying to hit on me, which I planned to kindly turn him down. Asking where I'm from didn't strike me as too weird on its own, but his next lines of questioning were enormous red flags. Notice that in that whole conversation, he never once asked my name, or if I was married or with someone, which you would expect someone might do if they're just trying to hit on you. Also keep in mind that this happened in one of the safest countries in the world. Moral of the story is you can never be too careful, especially as a woman. Keep your wits about you, and don't feel bad for blowing off strangers. Also, if something seems off, don't give out your real information. I shouldn't even have told him the actual state I live in, but luckily I realized that he was sketchy after that, and didn't give him any more real info.